Greta Thunberg, as climate change remains a key issue in that election in Germany. Now, President Joe Biden is holding a summit with 3 leaders later today as he continues his efforts to counter growing Chinese influence across the world. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison will be amongst those attending the first in-person meeting of the Quad. It is a quadrilateral security dialogue, shortened for ease to the Quad. Well, also in that group is India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who's described India and the United States as natural partners. The 4th member of the Quad is the Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga, who announced 2 weeks ago that he was actually stepping down. Well, I'm joined now by Garima Mohan, an expert on Indo-Pacific affairs at the non-partisan policy think tank, the German Marshall Fund of the United States. Thanks very much for joining us. Of course, we had the big AUKUS announcement in the last few days, and now this meeting. India has traditionally been non-aligned, and traditionally Pakistan has had quite a lot of support from the US. How significant is this new grouping?
Well, the Quad is quite significant, but it has been in place for a long time, as well as US-India relations have really strengthened. In fact, over the last 20 years, we've seen a steady upward trajectory of both countries. The Quad came into being largely because of assertive behavior by China vis-a-vis all 4 Quad countries, which allowed them or created the conditions for them to work together. This being particularly true for India, which is facing a crisis with China at its border at this very moment. Therefore, the Quad is an interesting grouping. It's a loose coalition, very different from AUKUS, which is a military pact, and it talks about not just security but a number of other factors, which makes it easy and makes countries comfortable to work together.
What do you think are the key decisions that they might want to be taking now? We've had a certain amount of concern over Taiwan, but also concern over Kashmir in the light of events in Afghanistan.
So the Quad in recent times has really broadened its remit beyond security, particularly under the Biden administration. They're trying to cast it as a net positive for the region that is looking to provide solutions to regional problems and global public goods. Therefore, at the Quad meeting today, we'll see important decisions around vaccines. Quad leaders are on track to deliver 1 billion doses by next year in the Indo-Pacific, on cooperation on technology, semiconductors and 5G, on climate change just before in the run-up to Glasgow. We'll also see important decisions around space cooperation and, interestingly, a STEM fellowship for scholars from these 4 countries. So the conversation there will, of course, be about Afghanistan, will be about security challenges, but the Quad has really turned its focus to broader issues facing the Indo-Pacific.
What about India's position on Russia? Because India, again, traditionally has had a relationship with Russia since independence. But of course, there are new tensions, aren't there? And yet India presumably doesn't want to inflame either Russia or China too much. It's the only member of this group that has an actual border with China.
Absolutely. So India has been trying to play rather deftly, I would say, manage different coalitions that it has been a part of. The Russia-India relationship remains extremely important. Russia is an important strategic and security partner for India. But Russia also has been changing its foreign policy and moving closer to China on several aspects. Therefore, India has had to recalibrate and recalculate who it works with. How the conditions are emerging in the Indo-Pacific, I think you will see the emergence of several coalitions, different partners like-minded on certain issues working together and working with different partners on other issues. For example, India is now participating in the Quad, but it is also part of a very interesting grouping with India, China and Russia, the RIC. So India is sort of trying to work with different partners on different issues. However, this tightrope might get tougher as we move ahead.
OK, Garima Mohan, thank you very much indeed.